Kindness isn't weakness. Time he learned.
Technology, always full of surprises.
It was Christmas morning in Lansing, Michigan, the kind of winter morning that feels like a painting. Frost edging the windows, the smell of cinnamon rolls in the oven, Bing Crosby humming low from the kitchen radio. I had just brewed a fresh pot of Folgers and poured 3 mugs, one for my son, one for Melanie, and one for myself. The kids were already tearing through wrapping paper, the dog barking at a toy train circling under the tree. I walked over to the table and handed Melanie the envelope. Inside was the December mortgage payment, paid in full, just like I'd been doing every month for the last 2 years. She didn't even open it. Instead, she smiled like a dentist about to break bad news. From her purse, she pulled out a glossy brochure. Gold foil, soft matte cover. Silver Pines, Assisted Living, where seniors find peace. She slid it across the table. No shame, no warmth, just cold efficiency. "You should take a look," she said, sipping her coffee. "It's time." You won't believe what I did next. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. My name's Robert. I'm 63, widowed. I worked 32 years at the General Motors plant here in Lansing, Michigan. I helped to build this house brick by brick, literally. I installed the damn insulation myself. When my wife passed, I wasn't ready to live alone. My son Travis said, "Come live with us, Dad. The kids would love it." Melanie nodded and smiled. Back then, she smiled a lot. They had just bought the place. 2 stories, colonial style, white shutters, corner lot. They couldn't afford it, not without help. So I sold the cabin up north and offered to cover the down payment. No questions. No conditions. I wanted them to have a chance at something solid. Family helps family. That's what I was raised to believe. At first, it felt like home. I picked the kids up from school. I painted the porch railings until the white gleamed under summer sun. I fixed the furnace when it coughed itself dead in the middle of a February freeze. And every month, without being asked, I paid the mortgage directly from my retirement account. But slowly, little things started to shift. Melanie stopped asking if I wanted dinner when she cooked. One night she plated 4 dishes, one for each of them, and said, "There's leftovers if you want some." My coffee mug disappeared from the cabinet. One morning I came downstairs and found a paper taped to the fridge. Guest Wi-Fi password. Guest. In my own house. They started calling the spare bedroom Dad's room instead of the guest room. It wasn't meant kindly. I could hear it in the pause before the word. Last 4th of July, I stood at the grill flipping burgers, smoke curling up into the blue. Melanie leaned toward her friend on the patio and said, just loud enough for me to hear, "It's sweet. He still wants to be useful." Useful. Like a power drill or a rake, not a person, not a grandfather. The kids noticed too. My granddaughter tugged at a photo frame on the wall and asked why I wasn't in any of the family pictures. Melanie told her, "Oh, Grandpa's just visiting." Visiting. I was paying for the roof over their heads. On Thanksgiving, the table was dressed with candles and polished silver. 7 place settings, 1 for each of them, and none for me. When I reached for a fork, Melanie said, "Oh, sorry, we didn't know you'd be joining." Like I was some neighbor who'd wandered in. But nothing, not even that, prepared me for Christmas morning. I handed her the envelope with the mortgage slip. She handed me a brochure and said, with a sip of coffee, "You're a burden, Robert. The kids need their space. It's time." She didn't whisper it. She didn't pull me aside. She said it right there, in front of my son, in front of the grandkids. Travis didn't say a word, not even a twitch. My ears rang, the sound of wrapping paper and kids' laughter blurred into a high-pitched nothing. I couldn't even feel my hands. It was like the heat had been sucked out of the room. I excused myself, walked to the garage, and sat in my truck with the door shut. I didn't cry, not then. but my fingers trembled so hard I couldn't start the engine. Instead, I looked at the passenger seat, where a wrapped gift sat waiting. It was for Melanie, a silk scarf I had ordered off a site she once mentioned in passing. I left it there, untouched. That night, I lay awake in the dark. Christmas lights blinked outside my window, slow, patient, mocking. Each blink, a reminder of how blind I'd been. I thought about all the times I bit my tongue, the times I gave, and gave again, the dinners I cooked, the school pickups, the home repairs, the quiet sacrifices. I thought about the receipts, the deposit slips, the transfer confirmations, every check stub marked mortgage in the memo line, and I thought about the deed. I hadn't just helped with the down payment. My name was on the title. Legally, officially, I was a co-owner, and they forgot that. Or maybe they assumed I forgot, but I hadn't. I reached under my bed, pulled out the old Sears shoebox where I kept my papers. It was time to remind them. The next morning, I didn't come down for breakfast. I heard the sounds from upstairs, plates clinking, kids laughing, Melanie's voice rising and falling like nothing had happened, like she hadn't handed me a death sentence in the shape of a brochure. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the shoebox in my lap. It was the same one I'd pulled out the night before. The cardboard had gone soft around the edges after years of being tucked under winter coats and forgotten receipts. But it still held everything that mattered. Inside were 12 months' worth of payments, bank statements, direct transfers. I'd been wiring $1,330 every single month straight to their mortgage servicer, Great Lakes Lending. Every transaction had my name on it, printed clear as day. The papers smelled faintly of printer ink and dust. Some were creased from being handled too many times. I ran my thumb over the numbers, each one a quiet promise I'd made to my son's family. There were receipts for the new water heater, the gutter replacement, even the snowblower I bought last winter after that polar freeze knocked out half the block. They treated me like I was some old dog hanging around the house, but that old dog kept the house warm and the bills paid. I stacked the pages carefully, smoothing the edges until the pile stood neat and straight. Then I printed out every document, every transfer, every invoice that had my name tied to their comfort. The whir of the printer filled the room, soft and steady, almost calming. Page after page slid into the tray, proof that I wasn't invisible, proof that I had built something here. That night, while they watched TV downstairs, I slipped out quietly. The cold bit my face the second I stepped outside. The air smelled sharp and metallic, the kind of cold that makes your lungs ache. I drove to the county clerk's office first thing the next morning. The parking lot was still empty. A thin crust of snow crunched under my boots as I walked. I was there before the doors unlocked, first in line. The lobby smelled like old paper and floor wax. Fluorescent lights flickered to life above me. A woman in a beige cardigan sat behind the counter, half asleep until I set my file down with a quiet thump. "I need a property deed lookup," I said. My voice was calm, but my hands shook just enough to make the papers rattle. She looked bored at first. Then she flipped open the folder and her expression sharpened, professional and alert. Within minutes, she pulled up the record. There it was, the deed from 2019. My name still on it. Co-owner, equal rights, equal authority. It wasn't just their house. It was mine too. They wanted to kick me out. They'd have to evict me from my own property. Good luck with that. I thanked the clerk, tucked the copies into my folder, and walked back out into the biting wind. The truck's windshield had frosted over again, thin veins of ice spreading like cracks in glass. I sat there for a long time, engine off, breath fogging the cab. That's when the shame began to drain away. In its place came something quieter, steadier. Not rage, not yet. Just a cool, clear voice in my head saying, "They forgot who you are." Back home, I kept my distance. For 3 days, I barely spoke. Let them think I was sulking. Let them assume I'd just fade out of their lives. Melanie acted like she'd already won. I caught her in the hallway one afternoon, phone pressed to her ear, whispering through a smile. Yeah, I think we'll get him moved by February. It'll be easier that way. Easier? Like I was a sofa they wanted to haul out before spring cleaning. That night, I checked the family group chat, the one we used to plan birthdays, game nights, little updates about the grandkids. I wasn't in it anymore. Removed, deleted like a spam caller. No explanation, no warning. I walked into the living room, phone still in hand. Travis, I said, keeping my voice level, why'd you take me out of the family chat? He barely looked up from his screen. Dad, Melanie said it was just easier, less drama. Drama, that word hit me like a slap. I raised that boy, held his hand when he broke his arm at 6, taught him to drive in my rusted Chevy, clutch grinding while he laughed nervously, paid for college textbooks when he couldn't cover rent. And now I was drama. Melanie was rewriting the narrative. Bit by bit, word by word, she started calling me Robert instead of Dad. Told the kids, Grandpa's just visiting until he finds a new place. The kids asked where I was going. I forced a smile and said I didn't know yet, that I was still thinking. But I already knew. I wasn't going anywhere. They were. One afternoon, I found her file folder on the kitchen table. She'd left it open, maybe careless, maybe confident I wouldn't dare look. Inside were listings for senior homes, brochures, sticky notes, neatly written contacts, a checklist printed in bold, transition plan, remove Robert before March worked. Under it, one line in black ink, talk to Travis about refinancing after he's gone. After he's gone, like I was luggage, dead weight. I stood there staring at those words until the letters blurred. Then I went to my room, shut the door, and opened my laptop. Blank document, cursor blinking, cold, patient. I began to type. Letter of notice, certified mail, legal language, the elder abuse citation code from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. I looked it up and copied it, word for word. I'd done my homework. Late nights with the glow of the screen and a mug of stale coffee. I read forums, state websites, stories from other people blindsided by their own families. I emailed a county elder advocate, attached copies of my receipts, the deed, the glossy brochure, the photograph I snapped of that cruel checklist. The subject line was simple. Urgent, attempted financial displacement of elderly co-owner. 2 days later, my phone rang. The woman on the line sounded firm, competent, almost protective. You've got more than enough proof, she said. If they push, we push harder. I closed my eyes, exhaling slowly. I slept better that night than I had in months, and still I waited, watched, listened. Melanie grew bolder, bragging to her sister over speakerphone about how clean the transition would be, how she planned to use the extra room as an office, how Travis was finally stepping up. She didn't know. She had no clue what I had set in motion. A week later, the first letter arrived. Certified mail. Return receipt requested. Addressed to Melanie and Travis jointly. Subject, immediate review of co-ownership. Rights and occupancy terms. I placed it neatly on the kitchen counter with the rest of the mail. Then I went upstairs, closed my door, and waited. The house hummed with ordinary life for a while. Then came the sound, the faint rip of an envelope tearing. A pause, silence so sharp I could feel it. Then voices rising, panicked and angry. What the hell is this? Melanie's voice cut through the air like a blade. I didn't answer, didn't have to. Let the paper do the talking. A knock came at my door. Dad, Travis said, voice uncertain. What is this about co-ownership? I thought I opened the door slowly, met his eyes. You thought what? I asked, calm and quiet. That I forgot what I paid for? He looked small for a moment, shoulders sinking. No words came. I'm not the guest here, Travis, I said evenly. I'm the guy who made this roof possible. Melanie appeared behind him, storming in like a gust of cold air. You can't do this. We've got the kids. This is our home. No, I said, my voice steady but low. It's our home. You just stop treating it like that. For once, she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, mouth open, eyes darting. They didn't say much after that, but I knew. That was the moment the ground under them began to crack. The tension hung in the house like a frozen fog. Every step, every sound felt muffled, heavy, brittle. For days they tiptoed around me, polite hellos, forced smile, but I saw it in their eyes, panic hiding behind the politeness. Melanie started slamming doors a little harder than usual. Cupboards, the laundry room, even the fridge. A low, sharp punctuation mark to every moment she couldn't control. Travis stopped looking me in the eye. He'd brushed past me in the hallway with a muttered, "Mornin', Dad," eyes glued to his phone, as if looking up might make him face something bigger than both of us. The grandkids felt it too. Their voices softened to whispers. Their laughter shrank into quick, nervous bursts that died as soon as they started. Children don't need explanations. They feel the weather in a room better than anyone. I made sure to keep copies of everything in a separate folder in my truck, just in case. Bank statements, the deed, the advocate's email printout. If they tried to pull another stunt, I wouldn't be caught off guard again. One evening, headlights swept across the living room wall. A car door slammed. Melanie's sister showed up. She barely looked at me as she stepped inside, her perfume trailing something cold and sharp. The two of them disappeared into the study and shut the door. For hours, faint voices leaked through the thin wood, murmured words cut sharp when they thought I couldn't hear. Lawyer up, transfer timing, probate loophole. They were grasping at straws, trying to scrub my name off the deed like it was pencil. But ink doesn't fade that easily. I didn't interrupt. I didn't knock. I just waited. 2 days later, Travis knocked on my door. He was holding a pizza box and 2 beers like a kid trying to make peace after breaking a window. Dad, he said, voice uneven, we need to talk. I let him speak. I didn't make it easy. I just sat there, calm, quiet, letting the silence stretch. He said Melanie was stressed, that things had gotten out of hand, that maybe, I'd misunderstood her intentions. She didn't mean burden like that, he mumbled, staring at the beer label instead of me. I let the words hang in the air. Then I asked, softly but sharp enough to cut, how did she mean it then? When she slid a nursing home brochure across the table on Christmas morning? He had no answer. None. Just stared deeper into his beer like maybe the bubbles held a way out. That's when I told him about the elder abuse filing, about the legal steps I'd already taken, about every document stacked neatly in my folder, his face drained of color. I didn't know it had gone that far, he whispered. It didn't, I said evenly. She took it there. He swallowed hard. For the first time in weeks, he looked small again, not the grown man with a mortgage and kids, but the boy I'd once carried on my shoulders at baseball games. I gave him one more chance. One. I'll give you both 3 weeks, I said quietly but firmly, to figure out a buyout plan or list the house for sale. If you want to stay here, you'll need to buy me out. Legally, fairly, fully. No smoke, no favors. His mouth opened, some instinct to protest rising, but I held up a hand, not asking, telling. The words landed heavy, final. Later that night, I heard the muffled sound of raised voices downstairs, Travis trying to calm her, Melanie refusing to bend. Melanie was furious when she found out. Her anger didn't come quietly. It came crashing down the hallway like a storm. She accused me of manipulating the system, said I was turning the kids against her, claimed I was abusing them by threatening their stability. I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "Would you like to repeat that into the recorder?" My phone was in my hand, screen dark but camera ready. That shut her up. She spun on her heel and stomped away. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Jerry, my old neighbor down the street. "Hey man, everything okay? Melanie just posted some weird stuff on Facebook about you taking advantage of family. So that was her new play. Public pity. Paint me as the villain. I didn't take the bait with words. I responded once. Just once. I scanned the original property deed. My name, clear and black and impossible to erase. I posted it with a single caption. When family forgets who helped build the foundation, sometimes they need a reminder. No tags, no names, no anger in the text. Didn't have to. By lunch, it had 173 comments. By dinner, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Old friends, co-workers, even church members calling and texting. Melanie deleted her post, then deactivated her account. I wasn't trying to humiliate her, but she tried to erase me, and silence has a cost. That Sunday, Pastor Clark shook my hand a little longer than usual after service. His voice was quiet, but firm. "You're welcome back anytime, Robert," he said. "People talk, but truth always echoes louder." Melanie didn't come to church after that. Word spreads fast in towns like ours. Lansing might have a downtown with shiny new shops, but the neighborhoods still run on whispers and Facebook groups. Her reputation took a hit, fast and deep. With it went her real estate referrals. The perfect image she'd worked so hard to project started to crumble. She tried to act unfazed, to smile big at PTA meetings and bake sales. But people watched her differently now. They smiled politely, and then whispered when she turned away. Meanwhile, I was busy. I'd been meeting with a real estate attorney, a calm, sharp man with a thin silver tie who didn't waste words. He confirmed what I already knew. If they couldn't buy me out within the time window, I had every right to file for a partition sale, which meant the house would be sold, and the proceeds split. Clean, legal, inevitable. I drafted the letter with care. No emotion, just facts. Neutral tone, professional language, final notice, buyout terms, or court intervention. When Melanie read it, she lost control. She screamed. Not a cry. A full, raw animal sound that shook the walls. "I'm not letting you ruin my life," she yelled from the kitchen doorway. I didn't flinch, didn't even raise my voice. "Then you shouldn't have tried to erase mine," I said. Her eyes flared with fury. She slammed the door so hard a picture frame toppled and crashed to the floor. The next morning, the kids sat at the breakfast table, wide-eyed. "Grandpa," my granddaughter asked softly, "why's Mommy so mad?" I crouched down beside her chair, looked her in the eyes, and said gently, "Sometimes grown-ups have to learn how to say sorry." She didn't quite understand, but she nodded. Kids have a way of sensing truth before they can name it. Travis avoided me for a week. Barely a glance in the hallways. No words at dinner, just silence and heavy sighs. Then one night, around 2 a.m., the sound of the garage door woke me. I shuffled quietly to the window, peeking through the blinds. There he was, sitting in his truck, hands gripping the wheel, head bowed. His shoulders shook once, a long, silent exhale that fogged the glass. He was unraveling, caught between loyalty and guilt, between a wife who wanted me gone and a father who had never left. I watched him for a long time. No anger left, just a strange, aching sadness. The decision was his, and time was ticking. The deadline came faster than they expected. 3 weeks. That's all I gave them. Enough time to act, not enough to manipulate. They didn't buy me out. They didn't even try. Instead, they ignored it, like the problem would just go away if they kept quiet long enough. So I filed the motion. Partition by sale. Filed with the Ingham County Circuit Court. Attached the deed, the payment records, and the communication logs. It was clinical, unemotional, exactly what the system respects. The clerk stamped the documents with a hollow thunk that echoed through the cold hallway. I felt nothing but a slow, steady calm. This wasn't revenge. This was balanced. The court set a hearing date. I printed the notice and laid it gently on the kitchen counter, right between the fruit bowl and Melanie's neat stack of glossy real estate flyers. That evening, she walked in from a showing, heels clicking sharp against the tile. She reached for the mail, flipping envelopes until the official seal caught her eye. She froze. Color drained from her face like ink washing from paper. No words, just silence. Brittle, heavy, louder than any scream. A week later, an envelope arrived addressed to me. A court-appointed mediator wanted to schedule a meeting. We'd meet once, try to settle it. If no agreement, the judge would order the house sold. The morning of the mediation, the house felt like a waiting room. No breakfast smells, no radio, just the quiet hum of the furnace fighting a January chill. Melanie appeared dressed like she was showing $1 million listing. Crisp white blouse, navy blazer, pearls, professional, polished, fake. Travis came behind her, rumpled, dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. We rode in silence. The tires whispered over wet pavement. Nobody spoke a word. The mediation room was small and plain. Beige walls, scuffed chairs, a long table littered with legal pads and pens no one really wanted to use. A faint smell of coffee and stale paper hung in the air. Melanie started first, her voice smooth but tight at the edges. "I just don't understand why this has to be public," she said, gesturing with one manicured hand. "Family matters should be handled inside the home." I let her finish, didn't interrupt, didn't argue. Then I reached into my leather folder and slid it across the table. Every document, every transfer, every proof of payment, the gift letter, the notarized co-ownership agreement she signed with Travis and me back in 2019. The mediator, a calm woman with wire-rimmed glasses, skimmed the stack slowly, her face unreadable but her nod deliberate. Melanie's mask cracked. She glanced sideways at Travis, eyes sharp. "You told me he wasn't on the title," she hissed under her breath, but the room was too small for whispers to hide. Travis winced. "I thought he'd forget," he muttered. And there it was, the truth in 5 words. They thought I'd forget. Forget what I paid. Forget who I was. Forget the years I built, gave, and backed down for peace. But I remembered everything, especially the part where I stopped begging for space in a house I partly owned. The mediator cleared her throat gently, breaking the charged silence. "If an agreement can't be reached," she said, calm but firm, "the court will move forward with sale proceedings." Melanie crossed her arms tight, chin lifting in defiance. "So what do you want, Robert?" I didn't smile, didn't blink. "I want market value for my share," I said. "Full appraisal, no discount, no favors." Her jaw tensed. "And the kids?" she snapped, her voice cracking for the first time. "They're settled here. You'd really uproot your own grandchildren?" I met her eyes and spoke softly, but every word landed like a nail in wood. "You did that when you tried to throw me out like trash." Travis stared down at the table, didn't look up, didn't speak. The mediator closed her folder with a quiet finality. Session over. No agreement was reached. Within 2 weeks, the house was officially listed. Legal, binding, final. The listing hit Zillow at noon on a Thursday. By 3 p.m., my phone buzzed nonstop. Neighbors, old coworkers, church friends. "Are you selling? Everything okay? Thought you'd be there forever." The truth traveled faster than her reputation could catch up. At the next church potluck, Melanie didn't show. Travis did, alone. He brought a tray of brownies that looked store-bought and tired. He sat beside me in silence. Didn't try to make small talk. Didn't need to. The house sold 2 months later. Full market value. Clean paperwork. No more pretending. We split the proceeds down the line, exactly as the law dictated. I bought a smaller place, a 1-story ranch near Lake Lansing. Nothing fancy, but quiet, peaceful. The day I moved out, I packed in silence, room by room. The air smelled like dust and old wood, like the end of something you once believed would last. No one helped. No one said goodbye until the very last box. I was loading it into the back of my truck when I heard small sneakers slap against the driveway. Evan, my grandson, came running, cheeks pink from the cold. He held out a folded piece of paper. "Grandpa," he said, a little breathless. I crouched to take it. Inside, in wobbly pencil letters, "Grandpa, I hope you have a good new house. I like your stories." My throat tightened. I hugged him. Hard, long enough for him to giggle and squirm. "Thank you, buddy," I whispered. "You can visit any time. My door will always be open." Even when his parents' hearts were closed, he nodded, clutching the note as if sealing a secret promise between us. Then Melanie's car horn honked from the curb, sharp and impatient. He waved once and ran back. The next week, I mailed Melanie a final document, a notarized cease and desist. No further contact unless through legal channels. No more manipulation, no more control. The woman who once tried to erase me now couldn't even speak my name without a lawyer present. Months later, Travis called. Late evening, his voice cracked before he even said hello. "Dad," he said quietly, "I'm sorry." A pause, a breath. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to stand up to her. I listened. No anger left, just a kind of tired compassion. "You already made your choice, son," I said softly. "Now you have to live in it," he cried. I didn't. For the first time in years, I felt still, like the wind that had pushed against me for so long had finally gone quiet. It's been 6 months now. The snow's gone, the river's running clear again, and the sun comes up earlier each day over Lake Lansing, spilling pale gold across the water until it looks like melted glass. I wake up when I want to. No footsteps above me, no muffled arguments bleeding through the vents. I brew a cup of coffee in silence, the slow drip filling the kitchen with warmth and that sharp, dark smell I've always loved. Then I step onto the back porch in a worn flannel, paperback in hand. The boards creak a little under my boots. The air is cool but not biting. I breathe it in anyway, deep and easy. No tension in the air, no side glances, just me, the trees, and the birds that somehow know when it's finally safe to sing again. My new place is modest, but it's mine, paid for in full with the money they thought I'd never claim. No mortgage, no guest Wi-Fi taped to the fridge like a quiet eviction notice. No whispered conversations about where to dump the old man when he becomes inconvenient. I painted the walls myself, soft gray in the bedroom, a warm pine green in the living room, hung up photos of my wife, the ones Melanie once said clashed with her aesthetic. Her smile lives on every wall now. No one rolls their eyes. No one sighs when I want to remember her. The grandkids come by once a month. Travis drops them off, awkward and quiet, as if stepping inside would burn. He doesn't linger, hands the kids their backpacks, avoids my eyes, and leaves. That first visit, Evan ran straight to the fridge and yanked the door open. "Do you still have the good chocolate milk, Grandpa?" he asked, wide-eyed. I smiled and nodded. Same brand, same shelf. Some things you never let go of. We spent that afternoon on the back porch. I showed him how to skip stones across the lake, just like I'd once taught his dad on summer evenings when fireflies came out and time felt endless. He asked where Melanie was. I told him she was somewhere figuring things out. It's not my job to explain her mistakes. It's my job to make sure he knows what love feels like. Real love. The kind that doesn't come with strings, ultimatums, or glossy brochures about where to park the old. The quiet between us wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I felt like a grandfather again, not a problem someone was trying to solve. Word around town is Melanie's business took a hit. 3 clients pulled out after what they called unprofessional behavior. She's posting on social media again, pictures of happy homes and smiling couples, the perfect realtor life. But the likes aren't what they used to be. People see through things now. They saw through her. Travis hasn't said much. He sends holiday texts. Short, polite. I respond the same way. Birthdays, Easter, Father's Day. Simple words on a screen that don't carry much weight anymore. I don't hate him, but I no longer shrink to fit the corners of his life. I spent too many years making myself small. He chose convenience over truth, and now he lives with that silence where his father used to stand. That's his to carry, not mine. As for the nursing home brochure, I kept it, framed it, hung it above my toolbox in the garage. It catches my eye every time I go out to fix something, a reminder that I almost let someone else decide when my story ended, that I almost handed over the pen. Not anymore. I write my chapters now, with each slow drive through town, each laugh with my grandkids, each quiet morning where I don't have to apologize for existing. That Christmas, she called me a burden. But burdens don't build homes. Burdens don't keep the lights on. Burdens don't carry families through storms. I wasn't the burden, I was the foundation. And when the house forgot that, I remembered it. The road ahead is long, but it's mine now. I take the back roads when I want to. Let the wind cut through the open window. Let the past stay behind me, mile by mile. No more waiting for someone else to make room. I've got the whole road now, and I'm driving straight into peace. If this story struck a chord, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments.